Aries, welcome. Let me ask you something. If just by speaking words, you could change your destiny, would you dare to try? This is not a story of luck or chance. It is about a sacred law moving around us every single day, every single hour. People call it the power of affirmation, the power that has turned what once seemed impossible into reality. And when you truly understand this, you'll realize something profound. Your life has never been a gamble. It has always been a journey of creation. So now, let's step into the very first chapter where we uncover why the words you speak can become the seeds of an entirely new life. Aries, listen closely. This is not a story of chance. This is a living testimony of a divine law moving in every breath of life. I didn't touch fortune once, not twice, but 8 times what the world calls winning the lottery. Yet for me, it was never random luck. It was proof of a greater truth, that words, faith, and the union between the human soul and God can open doors that once seemed forever closed. You see, too many people walk through their days believing they're just dust, drifting in a vast universe. They think success comes from blind fate or from luck they can't control. But Aries, you and I, we were not born to drift with the wind. We were born with a sacred flame burning inside us, a flame placed in our soul by the Creator Himself. And that flame carries the power to turn every word we speak into seeds planted deep in the fertile soil of the subconscious, ready to blossom into reality. I remember the long nights when the world outside felt cold, when life's worries pressed down on me. In the silence, I didn't beg, I didn't plead, I didn't whisper maybe or someday. I declared. I spoke to myself as if it had already happened. I lived in the feeling of one already blessed, already provided for. And then something began to shift. The first time the winnings came, I wasn't surprised. My heart simply said, yes, this is real. When the second time came, then the third, and finally the 8th, I understood this was not chance. This was law, the law of God, the law of consciousness, the law of co-creation. Aries, if you could pause for just a moment, take a deep breath, you would feel it. Everything in life has a rhythm, a pattern, and that pattern reflects exactly what you believe at the deepest level. If you speak of lack, of fear, life will mirror those words back to you again and again. But if you affirm with faith that you are loved, that you are guided, that you are blessed in the light of God, then the universe will rearrange every detail to match that conviction. This isn't abstract theory. It is reality, a reality I have lived, breathed, and witnessed with my soul. Because when you speak, your words do not vanish into thin air. They move into the unseen. They flow into the subconscious. They enter the heart of the one who created you, and they return as a response, as a gift. Imagine your life, Aries, as a garden. If you sow seeds of worry, resentment, despair, you will walk paths overrun with weeds. But if you plant seeds of trust, gratitude, and joy, that garden will bloom with radiant flowers, guiding you to places you never dared to dream. So let me ask you a question only you can answer. If your words could change your destiny, if they truly carried creative power, what would you choose to say today? Would you keep speaking of lack, or would you rise, lift your head like a warrior of light, and declare, I am blessed, I am provided for, I am victorious in God's divine plan? Let that question sink in. Let it carve out a silence in your soul, because only in that silence can the seed take root and grow and bear fruit. And now, Aries, as I share my own story with you, see it not as something to admire, but as a mirror showing you that you too can step into this divine law. Because I, an Aries, one who has learned to let his words become living prayers, I have walked this path. And this path is the very journey we are about to take together. There's a truth many people overlook. Words are not just sounds escaping in a moment. They carry the heartbeat of the soul, the breath of spirit, and the weight of hidden belief behind them. Words can comfort, they can build, they can ignite light, but words can also spread fear, break things apart, and cast shadows across a life. Every word spoken is a seed, a single arrow released, and it never disappears into empty space. It enters the subconscious, moves into the unseen, and quietly reshapes the reality we live. For those born under Aries, your flame makes your words resonate more powerfully than you realize. Aries is the sign of beginnings, the pioneering energy, the drumbeat that opens a new journey. When you speak, it is not just talk. It is an opening. It is a call that makes the universe listen. You may not notice it, but every phrase you release sends out waves of energy, rippling, colliding, slowly rearranging the world around you. I once lived in a season where every word I spoke was drenched in doubt. I said I was tired, and life handed me heavier burdens. I declared lack, and doors slammed shut. But when I stopped, when I listened deeper, I realized God never designed my life for scarcity. He gave me fire not to complain, but to proclaim. From that moment, I chose to change the way I used words. No more begging, no more pleading, no more weak whispers of "I hope." I declared with certainty. I spoke as if it was already true. I spoke as a child who knows his father is ready to bless. One night I sat alone in a dark room, the streetlights shining faintly through the window. I heard my heartbeat, I heard the wind, and I spoke. I am blessed, I am provided for, I am victorious. Those words echoed inside me not as a wish, but as an obvious truth. I repeated them, again and again, and the more I repeated them, the stronger my soul became. Then little by little, reality began to shift. Opportunities appeared, doors opened, and yes, even material rewards came, including those times I won the lottery. But the greatest prize was not the ticket, it was freedom in my mind. I had witnessed how words could transform destiny. Every time you say, "I always struggle," the universe hears it as a command, and it will rearrange everything to confirm it. You'll face more obstacles, more worries, more proof of that belief. But when you rise and say, "I am blessed, I am loved, I am enough," the world bends to match that truth. This is not just a spiritual formula, it is a human reminder. We are responsible for what we speak. When a father tells his child, "You'll never amount to anything," that seed grows into fear and failure. But when a mother looks into her child's eyes and says, "God has given you gifts and you will shine," that seed blooms into confidence and strength. Our words create not only our own reality, but the reality of those around us. Aries, you are fire, and that fire can warm or it can burn. God gave you this power not to waste on complaints, but to be a light bearer, a guide. The more conscious you are, the more you become an inspiration, a warrior of light, bringing change and healing into this world. Imagine this. Tomorrow morning, if the first words you spoke were, "I am grateful to live in abundance today," you would step into the day with different eyes and a wider heart. If you kept repeating it long enough, not only you would change, but your family, everyone you meet, would be touched by that energy. This is no longer about winning a ticket. It is about shifting collective destiny, sparking healing in a world that longs for it. So, Aries, I invite you to listen to yourself again. Sit down, take a deep breath, and ask, what seeds have I been planting with my words? Have I sown fear or hope? Have I spoken darkness or have I spoken light? The answer will show you why your life looks the way it does, and it will unlock the key to transformation. When you understand this power, you realize every word is no longer casual. It becomes a living prayer, a covenant between you and God, between you and your soul, and from that moment, you will never treat your words lightly again. And as this truth sinks deeper into you, a natural question rises. If words hold this much power, how do you live fully? As if what you desire is already true. The answer lies in the next layer, where dreams and reality finally become one. On the spiritual journey, there is one principle Neville Goddard repeated again and again. Live as if what you desire has already come true. This is not some simple game of imagination. It's the way consciousness closes the gap between dream and reality. When you live in the state of the result, your desire no longer feels far away. You breathe it. You feel it in every cell. You walk as if your feet already stand on the path of victory. For Aries, this principle carries a special beauty. You are a born warrior, always ready to step into battle, with the certainty that you will win. Deep inside, you don't need evidence to believe. You need the feeling of certainty to act. That is the essence of living in the end. When you allow yourself to live as someone who already has, the Aries fire in you is released, no longer chained by doubt or fear. I remember a time when my life was still full of lack. I decided to test this principle completely. Instead of thinking I needed more, I began living as if abundance was already mine. I walked into an old, worn house, but inside I felt I was walking through a home filled with light and plenty. I opened a plain wooden door, yet my spirit saw myself entering a space already blessed. When I held a glass of water, I felt it as if it were wine on the Lord's table, and strangely, not long after, reality began to shift. Opportunities came, resources appeared, new connections showed up, as if the world had simply been waiting for me to step into my new role. This is not just a psychological trick, it is a human lesson. When a person lives as though they are already healed, that very act plants the seed for healing. When the unemployed live with the mindset of someone already employed, confidence and openness draw doors wide open. And when a lonely heart begins to live as though it is already loved, warmth radiates from them and love finds its way back, like water returning to the sea. For society, this principle also carries a healing force. If our communities, instead of obsessing over crisis and scarcity, chose to live as if we were stepping into a new age of abundance and love, would not that society begin to transform? When a collective lives in the state of hope, faith, and gratitude, it creates a field of energy strong enough to change history. Aries, just imagine if tomorrow morning you woke up believing you were already successful. What would you wear? How would you walk? How would your voice sound when you spoke to others? And if you believed you were already healed, how would you face the fear inside your heart? It's these small details that make the great difference. So I want to ask you one simple but powerful question. If you lived as though your dream were already real, how would your life change today? Share it in the comments, because when you speak it, you not only affirm it for yourself, you spark faith in others walking this same path. When you start living as someone who already has, you'll see that you don't need to force things. You don't need to fight so hard. Reality will bend and shift, like a river finding its way back to the ocean. And in that gentle letting go, you realize the miracle isn't far off in the future. It's alive, right here, in every moment of the present. But remember, this assumption alone is not enough. Just as a flame needs fuel to keep burning, this principle must be nourished every day. And the fuel comes from one simple, yet powerful practice: repetition. In life, there are things that seem so small, so easy to overlook, and yet they carry a power that endures. Repetition of affirmations is one of those things. When people first hear this idea, they often smile or even doubt. Repeating one phrase really changed my life. But when you understand the nature of the mind, you see that repetition is not just a mechanical act. It's a flow, a rhythm, a patient hand knocking on the door of the subconscious until that door finally opens. Every morning when we wake, the mind is like a blank page, most open to what is written upon it. And every night just before sleep, when the wall between the conscious and the subconscious grows thin, the words you speak sink the deepest into the soil of your inner world. These are the golden hours. I use those sacred moments to whisper new affirmations to my soul. At first they felt awkward, like shoes that didn't quite fit, but I kept going. Day after day, month after month, and slowly, those words no longer felt foreign. They became my breath, a natural part of me, like blood flowing through my veins. Here is the miracle: the subconscious does not know real from imagined. It only listens and obeys, and like water drops wearing down stone, the words you repeat carve themselves into your subconscious. They become belief. And once belief takes root, it shapes your reality. I witnessed this shift in my own life when I repeated again and again, I am blessed, I live in abundance. Day by day, reality began to reflect those truths, not through sudden miracles falling from the sky, but through small events, through doors quietly opening, through new people arriving, through opportunities unfolding one by one, like a stream drop by drop, that grew into a river carrying me to new ground. You may ask, why repeat? Because the mind is not an empty field. It is already filled with old seeds, seeds of doubt, fear, and lack. If you do not plant new seeds continually, the old ones will keep growing, blocking out the light. Repetition is the way you patiently clear the garden and replant it with flowers of hope, love, and abundance. This is not just a personal lesson. It is a human lesson for all of society. If each day parents repeated to their children, you are loved, you are capable, you have worth, those children would grow with healthy confidence, ready to help build a better world. And if our communities together declared, we can heal, we can change, we are worthy of peace, would not that very society begin to transform? I remember a friend who once fell into financial crisis. Every day he lived in fear, repeating inside, "I don't have enough, I can't get out." And true enough, things grew worse until one day he changed. He chose a new affirmation: "God provides for me, I always have what I need." He spoke it every morning, every night, even when his bank account was empty. And within months, new opportunities appeared. A new job came, money began to flow, not because of random magic, but because he planted a new command in his subconscious. And the subconscious led him to act, to choose, to attract everything that matched that command. Aries, you are the flame of beginnings. Let repetition become the drumbeat for your fire. Do not underestimate the power of small words. They are the keys that unlock the doors of destiny. And if today you begin to plant those seeds, remember this: there is one thing that will make them grow faster than anything else: gratitude. There is a secret, one that every soul on the spiritual path comes to understand. Gratitude does not only arrive after we receive what we asked for. Gratitude is the very key that unlocks the door, so the wish can become reality. When you give thanks before you see the result, you send a powerful signal to the universe, to your own subconscious, and to the Creator himself. Received. I'm already blessed. I live in abundance. When we beg, we place ourselves in the position of lack. We long, we wait, we hope. But when we give thanks first, we shift into a completely different posture, the posture of someone who already has. You can hear the difference clearly. A person who says, "Please give me," is declaring they don't yet have. But one who says, "Thank you, for I have been given," is declaring it already exists. That small shift turns fragile desire into unshakable faith. For Aries, this carries a deeper meaning. You are fiery, impatient. You want results now. You want the flame you ignite to blaze instantly. But pause, take a breath, and let gratitude lead. Because when you give thanks first, your energy shifts from lack to fullness, from yearning to owning. The fire in you stops burning restlessly and becomes a steady torch, lighting the path before you. I remember when I first began this practice. I didn't have much. I lived in a small room, worrying each day about food and bills. But before sleep, I would place my hand on my chest and whisper, "Thank you, Lord, that I live in abundance. Thank you that I am blessed. Thank you that all my needs are already met." At that time, nothing in my reality proved it, but my heart believed, and strangely enough, week by week, month by month, life began to shift. Opportunities appeared. Finances improved. Relationships grew more harmonious. But the greatest change was this: my soul was no longer restless. I felt free, even before the things I desired showed up. That is the power of gratitude. It turns the present moment into a safe place. It transforms shaky ground into ground shining with light. It creates miracles not only in the material world, but heals the panic inside the human heart. You can see it in the smallest corners of life. A child taught to give thanks before a meal does not just eat rice, they taste the love within every grain. A wife, grateful to her husband even before he acts, plants trust and respect in the relationship. A community practicing gratitude together creates an atmosphere of peace that spreads to all. Aries, today you can try something simple. Write one sentence, "Thank you for," and leave it in the comments. Who knows, that may be the very seed of your new abundance. One phrase, just a few words, but when repeated with faith, it can become a miracle. And let me tell you this as someone who has walked this path. When you give thanks first, you don't just change the outcome. You change the way you see life itself. You stop chasing what you want and start living in the fullness of now. Then the desires come, not as rescue, but as gifts on top of what is already whole. And after gratitude, there is still one more step, because if you cling too tightly, if you hold your wish with restless hands, the seed will struggle to grow. That is when you must learn another art, a subtle but essential step, the art of letting go. There is a stage on the spiritual path, one that nearly all of us stumble through. It's that moment after we've affirmed, after we've planted the seed, when we grow restless, we worry. We check every day to see if the seed has sprouted yet. We stand over the soil of our own soul like an impatient farmer, digging up the ground each morning to see if anything has broken through. And in doing so, even though it comes from desire, we wound the tender sprout we've just planted. True faith does not live in constant checking, but in the quiet act of letting go. The farmer plants the seed, covers it with earth, and then trusts the soil, the rain, the sunlight to do their part. He does not panic. He does not count the days. He does not rush into the field at midnight to see if anything has changed. He knows under a sacred order the plant will grow, the flower will bloom, and harvest will come. So it is with us. When you have spoken your affirmation, when you've offered your gratitude, the next step is not anxious waiting, but surrender. I was once someone who could not let go. I planted an idea, and the very next day I was doubting. Is it real? What if I'm wrong? What if God isn't listening? In those days, my mind was a trampled garden. No seed could grow. But then I stopped. I remembered that God had set a divine law in the universe, a law that works perfectly without my control. So I began to release. I breathed out and let Him do His part. And it was in that very moment when I stopped trying to control that miracles began. Letting go is not giving up. It is the proof of absolute faith. When you surrender, you are telling the universe, I trust. I don't need to check. I don't need to doubt. I know the Creator has heard me. In that moment, your heart steadies. You walk lighter. Peace begins to shine from within. Aries, your fire always drives you to act, to control, to throw yourself into the fight to make sure results come. But try another way. Plant the seed. Speak the affirmation. Then let your fire soften into a steady light, a glow of trust instead of restless flames. In doing so, you learn one of the hardest, yet most beautiful arts, to believe in what your eyes cannot yet see. There are nights I sit in silence, looking up at a sky filled with stars, and whisper, Lord, I trust you have heard. I trust I have already received, and I place these burdens into your hands. That prayer didn't fill my wallet in a moment. It didn't transform everything overnight, but it gave me peace, a peace money cannot buy, and from that peace, gentle miracles found me, the way flowers quietly bloom when spring returns. Our society needs this lesson too. How many live in endless anxiety, trying to control everything? How many communities break under tension because they've lost faith in a higher order? If we could let go, if we could trust that life is still held by a sacred hand, perhaps we would recover collective peace instead of drowning in an endless race. Aries, you are not alone on this journey. The fire within you was not given to burn everything down, but to shine. That light shines purest. When it is no longer clouded by worry, learn to release, so your inner flame can spread freely. And when you reach that state, you discover a deeper truth, the final crystallization of the journey, the awakening that you are no longer a victim of fate, but the creator of your own destiny. Aries, through this whole journey, you've heard me speak of the power of words, of repetition, of gratitude, of faith, and of letting go. Now, as we step into the deepest layer, let me tell you this. You are not a victim of chance. You were not born to drift aimlessly on the random waves of life. You were born as a pioneer, a flame, a warrior given the sacred privilege of shaping destiny, with your own words and your own faith. Maybe you've thought, I'm just one small person. How could I ever change my fate? But Aries, remember, true power is not found in outer circumstances. It rests inside you. When you open your mouth, when you speak an affirmation, you set vibrations through the universe. When you believe, when you stand firm, when you live as if what you desire is already real, you redraw the map of your life. You can see this not only in Neville Goddard's story of winning the lottery, but in every corner of life. A mother prays each day, whispering to her heart, my child is protected and safe, and the child truly grows up wrapped in safety and love. A man who lost all hope in his career begins repeating, God is guiding me to the work meant for my purpose. And then unexpectedly, a door opens that changes everything. A soul once broken in love whispers each night, I am loved with a pure and lasting love, and that love finds its way back, healing even the oldest wounds. That is not luck. That is divine law. That is how the universe, through your own lips and your own heart, writes new lines on the blank page of your life. Aries, you are the sign of beginnings. Every journey, every revolution, every bold step needs that pioneering flame. And you are chosen to understand this truth most deeply. You are not ruled by charts or by blind forces of fate. You are a creator. Every time you speak, you plant a seed. Every time you believe, you water it. And every time you let go, you allow God to send the wind, the rain, the sunlight, until that seed becomes a tree, a flower, a harvest of sweetness. The human lesson here is not only for Aries. All of us can create miracles in our lives, not just in winning lotteries or gaining wealth, but in love, in work, in healing the deepest wounds of the soul. When we understand that words are not just passing sounds, but seeds dropped into the soil of the subconscious, we become more careful, more gentle, and more powerful with every phrase we speak. And when we live with faith that a divine force is always walking with us, we find peace even in the fiercest storms. Aries, let me ask you this. Have you ever witnessed your own words turn into reality? Have you ever spoken something almost casually, only to watch it come true months later? Share your story, because when you do, you're not only proving it to yourself, you're igniting faith in the hearts of others listening right now. And now, I want to leave you with a moment of silence. Place your hand over your chest, take a deep breath, and remember this: you are the one entrusted with the flame. That flame is not meant to be hidden away in loneliness, but to shine on your path and to light the world around you. Thank you, Aries, for listening and for allowing me to walk with your brave heart today. I wish you a steadfast soul, a flame that never dies, and a journey where every word you speak becomes light in your life.